Okay, hello again, and I'm back with a fresh video. I was thinking that I will stick to another book for today. I picked up this book. It's called The School for Good Mothers, and I can't quite remember where I picked it up, but it seems I'm pretty sure I picked it up when I was traveling, and it's just one of those books that. Ever since I became a mom 5 years ago, I've ended up reading a lot of different books that like cover the theme of like being a parent and especially being a mother. And so it's just one of those things that I picked up and I thought I'll read on the flight. And then I realized that it was completely this dystopian story. So it's by this author called Jasmine Chang, and the whole premise of the book is that she's the single mother and she's extremely overworked, and the story starts one morning when she's extremely underslept. The daughter has been very unwell and she needs to go and pick up something from work, and she just makes this decision which is like a complete no with little children, which is that she leaves the child alone for 2 hours in the house, and and the neighbors complain, and then where the book really gets very interesting is the state gets involved. And in this version of the world, the state actually puts her in this in this school for good mothers, and it's all these mothers who made some kind of like errors with their children. So maybe a child got hurt on their watch, or they again abandoned the child for a small amount of time, or different circumstances, but they've all been put into this like 1 year program where they basically don't get to spend time with their own child, but they have to take care of this like almost like this robotic kind of child, and then they are surveilled through the entire program, and then they are and obviously they're graded on how well they do and like what kind of emotional bond that they have with this child. And it's obviously really difficult, right? Like, because it's not their own child who they're actually missing, and they have to transfer all this like motherly energy onto this child that they are assigned, and then actually get graded on it. So the whole premise is like it's really scary, and like obviously if you are a parent, or you're like uncle, aunt, grandparent, whatever, like it's just like it's so disturbing that you could be kept away from your own child for so long. But it's also like it's such a dystopian view in terms of when the criteria for goodness or being a good parent is set by the state, right? And then you can actually be like measured against that, and you can get into trouble for not actually being a good mother or a good parent. And in this book, actually, they show that there is a school for good fathers, but of course, the fathers are not held to the same standard as the mothers. Eventually, if you want to read the book, I don't want to give it away, but the ending is actually not like tied up with a neat bow. It's actually a little bit disturbing, and like frankly, it took me a while to kind of be like, oh my god, I've actually read this, and now it's like it's too disturbing for me. But it really like provocates all these questions about like what is expected of like mothers. And for me, like what the interesting part has been is that I think that like it's depending on the society that you are in, like say you're in India like me, or in America or Europe, or other countries, the societal expectation of what a mother can do and how much help a mother does have, and like how the state has actually state and just general infrastructure in terms of like how easy they make it to be a mother and to have children is really different, right? So for example, over here you get 6 months maternity leave if you're with a company, and that's what I got. But I was at Twitter when I had the baby, so Twitter gave everybody 6 months. They gave them whatever was required legally in most of the markets, but in the US, they did not by law get as much time as we did. So the company actually gave people 5 months, but I think they were just given a couple of weeks by US law, right? So I mean that in itself is like really shocking. And then if you look at like childcare, for example, it's relatively affordable here in India. It's prohibitive, right, in some of the Western countries. Like my brother lives in London, and they had to get full-time help because both the parents were working. But it's just like it's a huge expense. So you really need to be able to afford that. And if you are not able to afford it, then like often one parent then tries to take a step back and stay at home, but thereby giving up career prospects for a while. And so these are like really complicated decisions that people make. The part which like really resonated with me about this, like the pressure of being a good parent, is that when I was on maternity leave, so I was very busy with work when I was pregnant, and I didn't really like think about uh, a lot of like what that child raising was going to look like, till I finally like just got off work and I started scrolling like Instagram a lot, and I would see all this content which was generated by sort of American accounts, giving advice to American mothers. And I was struck by how lonely the experience was, because there was assumption in many of these accounts, about how like they were the only one in the house, and like there was no one there to look at the baby, so like they couldn't even brush their teeth. And I would contrast it with like my experience here in Delhi, where like, of course, I had like full-time help, but also, grandparents and friends and everybody just coming and going. And in the case of my house, like my dog was like constantly on my child's head, like, so it was just like such an active that it really like made me then sort of look into like what were the different philosophies in terms of like parenting. And I found like that, obviously we have our own distinct culture over here, and a lot of people are they're good and bad in terms of what's expected of mothers. And obviously a lot of it depends on whether you're working, whether you have an income, whether you're a nuclear family or like a quasi, like a family that lives close to parents. So I know all those, but it's also like in terms of like what your responsibility to the child is. And so a lot of times I feel like I've read these accounts of European parenting theories, which I resonate with a lot, which is like you respect the child and you try and like set up the child to like be more imaginative, creative, like go out and explore on their own terms. And I would always feel like what I saw with American accounts on Instagram and everything was that like child safety was taken to a very high level. So you're almost like not letting your kid have just free experiences, because you're kind of like a helicopter parent. And even in the even if you dial back from that moment and you look at like the pressure on mother, like there's so many gadgets that are enabled, like breast pump at work under your shirt, because you have to obviously go back immediately, and all these contraptions. So you've got this amazing product called the snoo, and it's supposed to like just shake your baby back to sleep, because obviously like you can't miss a night's sleep. And you've got, I remember reading one about like you could put the baby on their stomach, and then it would like burp your baby for you. I mean, maybe I would have liked to use it, but I'm just saying that like it is really a different reality, right? When you get into motherhood. So yeah. So this book, coming back to the book, The School for Good Mothers, it's just the kind of thing that like it really hits you where it hurts the most. And so I found that to be a really compelling, disturbing, unable to put down kind of read. I've seen some reviews, and not everybody is like as happy with it as I am, but yeah, but that's I recommend that if somebody wants to read. And then because it's such a disturbing subject, what I decided to do was give one more book as a recommendation. And even if you're an adult, you can look at it. And it is a kid's book. It's called Giraffes Can't Dance. And the main story is about a giraffe who can't dance. But actually, that's not true. The giraffe goes into like this African, dance party. It's called the jungle dance. And he starts dancing, and all the other animals laugh at him. And then he's very embarrassed, and he walks out. And he meets this cricket, and the cricket basically tells him that like anyone can dance, right? Like if you find the music that you love. So basically the moral of the story is like you can dance to your own to the beat of your own drummer, so to speak, right? You can dance to your own tune, and that's when you really come out, when you like embrace your individuality, and you're not trying to fit in, or you're not trying to cater to other people's expectations. So it's just a bit of a reminder for a lot of us. There's a lot of shoulds in life, how to be a good mother, how to be a good daughter, how to be a good co-worker, all that. But I think we truly excel if we can learn to like understand who we are and try and be who we are. So yeah, so one for everyone. There you go. And I've promised my friend Ami that at least at the start of this channel, I'm going to make one video per day. So day 2, and I've kept my promise. So see you for day 3. Thanks.